the bass when it drops like this. Drops endless. Endless. Bass when it drops like this.
And one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of For the Bread. I'm your host, as usual, Christopher Deluxe Haas. Today, joining me, my guest on the show. You might know him, former Hype Fest Station champion, former MLG and ESL pro, as you see my shirt right here, and just the leader of the Strang Gang, my man, Strangly. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Just happy to be on the show. Happy to talk gears always. So, yeah, let's kick it off.
Kick it off. All right. Well, we're going to start out basically how we start out every show, or how I've started every show out. For those people watching out there who don't know who you are, don't know about you, why don't you give them a little background, who you are, your Gears of War history, competitive history, just kind of an introduction for yourself.
Sure, man. I mean, I've been around Gears forever, pretty much since it came out. I've been through kind of all the tiers of a player. I was the ranked Lord, I was the Sniper Lord, I was the Montager, then I was the GB kid, and then eventually, you know, getting into, like, community tournaments mostly, a lot of tournaments similar to Deluxe, like you run. And then eventually getting into LAN, getting into the Hype Fest stations, and I even went to a couple MLGs, nothing serious, with friends back in like 2009, 2010. So I mean, I've been through it all. So yeah, I mean, I stream a lot. You guys know the Strang Gang, and yeah, I feel like I don't know. I've pretty much just been through kind of every level. So I feel like my relationship with the Gears community is pretty much staple off that. I can relate to like any Gears player situation or like current state as a player. So yeah, that's pretty much me. I've just been through the rungs.
Yeah. So how did you get your start playing Gears of War? Did you play other games when you were younger? Was this your first competitive game you tried? Do you have like a really crazy story of how you started playing Gears? Like your friend brought it over and you thought it was awesome or something? Like how'd you start playing Gears?
Yeah, I guess it was just kind of the stereotypical start to playing Gears. Gears, when it first came out, wasn't so much a multiplayer game. It was a co-op game. It was very similar to like Army of Two kind of thing. So honestly, my story with it was Call of Duty 3 came out the same day as Gears of War. I went to EB Games to go pick it up. The guy in front of me literally had money for one game. I remember this so well. I was like 14 at the time, and he was talking to the employee at which is pretty much GameStop, EB Games in Canada. And he was like, man, I only got money for one game. Do I buy the Call of Duty 3 or do I buy this Gears of War, right? And at the time, I didn't even know what Gears was.
Right.
I'm in line right behind him getting ready to buy Call of Duty.
Did you
And
see
the guy's
the
like, oh,
trailer
you
like
gotta
leading up to
buy
it
it.
though? Did you see like the Mad World trailer on TV before you went to GameStop?
Yeah, it clicked later, but I had no
Okay.
idea what it was. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was there for Call of Duty. The employee's like, you gotta buy Gears, and I was like, what? Like, you're gonna pick Gears over Call of Duty? So that was the first time where I was like, there's no way, because I was a COD kid. Like, I played Call of Duty 2,
Yeah.
which you can even sprint in that game. Like, that game was so
I
old,
know.
but it was like
I miss those
my
days, to be
first
honest.
multiplayer online game. Yeah, and so basically, about a month later, my buddy got it for Christmas. And then I was playing co-op with him at his house. Like I fell in love with the game like immediately. I went and picked it up, and then yeah, I just started grinding ever since.
Ah, that's great, man. It's great. Everybody has their own Gears of War story, how they started. It's cool to hear yours. So, I mean, a lot of people in the chat, a lot of people who are going to watch this on YouTube afterwards, they know you pretty much. You can see on your headset right now. They know you from the Synergy days. Those boys back at Hype Fest Station, you were winning championships, Yogurt, Nasty, Noxious was on the team for a little bit. It was a 4v4 game back then. It wasn't 5v5
Yeah.
like it is now. So we've seen like different iterations of this roster over the years and through all the Gears of War competitive titles. What originally happened, like why you guys decided to stop playing with each other over the course of time, and how did you get back together now? It looks like a partial roster of at least Synergy.
Yeah, Synergy is like one of the weirdest teams, I feel like, in terms of Gears, and I say that because it's almost one of the biggest tragedies. When we were like super dominant, and there was like pretty much no set of players that could really beat us, over the course of like, honestly, people think it was only like a few months. Like it was like a few years of Gears 3, like no one could really mess with us online, and then eventually on LAN. But yeah, I mean, pretty much the way it happened. So the way we started, I'll try to do this super quick.
Yeah, whatever.
We've been playing on and off GB rosters all of Gears 2, right? So that's where the initial chemistry was. And then we took that into Gears of War 3 with Carson. You guys know Carson. Eventually, we ended up kind of dropping him to pick up who would it have been? I think it was Nasty actually, which is hilarious. But it was either Nasty or Yog. We were kind of going back and forth between like those group of 5, and everyone was like, why can't it just be like Yogurt, Nasty? I think it was at the time me, Carson, and there was one other person.
I'm trying to
anyway,
remember myself. I'm trying to think
5.
back,
Yeah,
like,
there was a 5th person
I
that
don't
we
even
always
know.
switched on and off with. It was 4v4 back then, but we had like 5 guys. There was like Devil D and stuff who ended up quitting, but just typical GB kids. But yeah, we just gained the chemistry through the games. We eventually went to LAN. Carson and I really butted heads as leaders, so eventually he kind of like was etched out a little bit. And then, that 4 spot at the time went to damage points, and then we kind of just keep cycling force after that. We couldn't really find like a 4th we were like super comfortable with, and no one really took us seriously yet. The best 4th we probably picked up early on was Kenny Bounce, who's now on Optic.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Is he good now? I don't know. How is he playing these days? No, just kidding.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. But yeah, like we were just notorious for trading out force, and after we kind of went through our domination stage where we were just like winning all these online tournaments, and we won like 4 LANs or something like that. Basically, what ended up happening is Gears wasn't supported like it is now, esports wise. Eventually, the team ended up kind of breaking up. I took a job with the Coalition. So there was the year that I was with the Coalition that I couldn't compete because I was with them, and then there was the fallout afterwards where we had Ultimate Edition come out. Hyphenation allowed me to play, and I got second like right away with Icy, Noxious, and Nasty, and then I was banned from ESL Season 1. So basically, it was because of that one big thing for me and being banned from ESL Season 1 and working at the Coalition. All my old teammates found new teams, and we just never could really get back together due to contracts and other complicated stuff.
Right. A lot more orgs involved now than there's ever been, of course. They all have their buyouts and contracts or whatever, maybe.
So you know how important it is to start a new game off with the team. Like from the start, those are always going to be the best teams. Like the teams that get a strong start and they just kind of continue on. So yeah, I guess that when it comes to Synergy, we just weren't really able to start off like an Ultimate Edition or a Gears 4 together, And
Right.
it's really hard to try to catch up on seed and catch up on practice when old teammates or teammates you want to play with are tied up on other teams.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, touching on the topic, you kind of brought it up already a little bit. Your time at the Coalition. Now, I know it's hard to do, of course, but At the time you took a job at Coalition, you were like the first person, you and Fallout actually, where we actually had somebody on the inside, where a former pro, a player, somebody who can relate to like what we wanted for the game. You know, it felt good to have somebody like, okay, maybe Strangley can do this. Maybe he can get through these developers and bring us the game we've always wanted, et cetera, et cetera. Looking back, and again, I know it's hard. Looking back on that, you chose to obviously compete over staying at Coalition. Going into UE, you were banned for a little bit. Eventually, the ban was dropped, and you know the free Strangley hashtags all came to fruition.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I remember I was over at ESL at the time, and I was hearing behind the scenes. They're like, some people didn't know who you were. You know, shame on them. But they're like, I keep seeing this free Strangley stuff. What's going on? Like, is he gonna play in this league or not? Is he gonna be allowed to compete? And I'm like, we're trying here. But do you have any regret over leaving the Coalition? Like, do you wish you could still be a part of Coalition to this day, or are you still filled with that competitive spirit inside and you just want to compete as long as you can compete for?
Yeah, giving a clear answer is a little bit hard on this. I loved my time at the Coalition, and in a perfect world, I'd still, be working there and competing at the same time. The best thing that I can use to explain it, it's like you think about, I use Santa's Workshop, okay? So Santa's Workshop, it sounds like a magical place. You don't really know what goes on there, right? But the second you start working there, like for me, I became like an elf in Santa's Workshop. I started working there, and the magic started kind of fading away, and it just kind of became work. Now, there's a lot of really cool opportunities that came up. Like I went to, Comic-Con in San Diego. I even had a panel badge. I was going to be on the panel at one point, which is insane to go to an event that huge with like that many people. And getting sent to events and stuff. But yeah, it was just a lot of the magic. Like, it kind of, Gears was the one thing that over the last literally like 9 years, like 10 years, was the one thing that was kind of mine.
Were you kind of itching watching everybody play now when all the news came out, Pro League and all this upcoming stuff? Were you kind of just like itching to, come on, I know I still can compete out there. I know I still can do this. Let me get back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, no, I definitely the competitive itch is what made me kind of walk away for sure. But at the same time, I think I stopped enjoying what I was doing a little bit. Now, I don't know if I was not enjoying it because I couldn't compete and I had to like kind of have that ultimatum between staying there or competing. Like if I was to actually quit on my own terms, quit competitive entirely, and like return back there, maybe I would enjoy it. But I just wasn't happy at the time. And after competing and being happy competing like at Hypestation for nothing, like you pretty much just played to play,
right?
And then having an opportunity, like we're talking, I think it was like 50K Pro League for ESL. Like my jaw dropped. I was like, ESL, Gears of War, like you never heard of that. Gears was nothing. So when they announced it and I learned it internally, I was like sick to my stomach, right?
Yeah,
so I was
like,
really
finally it's here.
Yeah.
And I'm missing out now. I've been waiting. We were all this community building for years. I mean, Hypestation kept it alive for a while. Playing for Peanuts, playing for Pride, and now ESL came in, and now we're way above that. The $1 million circuit, Gears of War Esports, MLG is back, et cetera, et cetera. So you're competing over there. Looking back a little bit again, Gears of War UE. So you were in the Pro League. I was there for season 1 and 2. You were in the Pro League for ESL. You didn't make it. You didn't make it to season 1 finals. You didn't make it to season 2 finals though. So I want to say probably that was a goal of yours to at least get the season finals with your team. Looking back at your UE career, were you just disappointed in how you placed at the events? Did you wish you could have had a more, I guess, maybe more solid team or play with some different people? I don't know. Looking back on your UE career, what would you say your thoughts on your UE career was?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a tragedy again because what happened is right when the game came out, you had I know people always say like hype's not that big or whatever, but Hypestation 4 was big. I mean, it had 40 teams and it had it had Envy there, it had like Optic there and Swarm, like it had all the same players you've seen there today, and I got second there, only losing to Envy. We ended up taking that tournament.
Those were great matches too. I always watch.
Yeah,
they were.
That
really
tournament was crazy. We beat Vex, which had like Yogurt and Excels and Toy and Tommy on it, like Dispensa. We beat Swarm, which had was it Lava, Mental, Explosive. Like you guys know all these guys. Like we beat them. Like, we had like a crazy losers run, like we always did. But immediately after that, I mean, I wasn't in ESL Season 1 finals because I wasn't allowed to compete. I didn't play in it at all. That's when I really started streaming because it was the only thing I could do. So I started streaming all through ESL Season 1. I was able to play for Season 2, and we placed, I think it was 5th. And it was top 4. There was no real lands for UE. There was the one in the beginning, which was Hype 4, which I got second in, and then there was the one at the end. when I brought now Allegiance, like a lot of those guys I was playing with them.
Right, yeah. You've had a history recently over the past year or so. You got with the Allegiance guys. They were formerly Revenge. You were on Illicit. All these teams are kind of up and coming. I call it the Strang factor myself. Yeah, you get in these upcoming teams for a little bit, and then I don't know, it kind of fizzles out, or you're playing on a new team now coming up for the next year's event. But sticking back with a similar topic, so from UE to Gears 4, do you feel like, because just going off of Twitter, going off of people in the community, going off of everything, do you feel like you've been overlooked as a top player in this game? Because when you mention people on Twitter or in discussions and you say, who are the best players, who are the top players, your name is not one that comes up too often. So do you feel like you're a really underrated player, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's not even about having an ego or anything like that. I mean, I've accomplished a lot in Gears of War, and it's a lot more than others. I know right now it probably doesn't seem quite like that, but I know what I'm capable of, and there's been a lot of circumstances, kind of like, even again, I talked about how important it is having a strong start on a new game, and getting dropped from United after what I played, like what I felt was one of my best events at the Invitational, really set me back fast. I mean, I had to.
You're getting ahead of me now. I'm getting down to that in a minute here, but
yeah. I won't touch too much on that then, but like starting off on a game is really important. And sometimes there's some stuff that's out of your control. I've definitely made probably some bad like team decisions, or maybe haven't been playing as much as I should have in the past, but I don't know. I feel like as a player, I have a lot that I bring to a team, and especially when I'm on my grind and I'm playing a lot, like I really do feel like I am a top player. I'm just not a top placing one right now. It takes 5, and it's something that
more than ever for sure.
More than ever. I mean, this game it takes an unbelievable amount of teamwork, and I'm hoping that kind of like this last roster change that I made is pretty much my last, because I'm definitely done switching teams. But this was one that I think was needed, and yeah, I mean, there's stuff that happens to every Gears player. Like I'm talking to anybody out there, whether you're an amateur, a semi-pro, or a pro. Like there's this little world that you can control, but in a team game like this, in a game that's just so heavy with orgs and a lot of this like heavy stuff, kind of outside of actually playing the game, you just got to control what you control, and you just kind of have to take some of the punches. You just have to. So. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much that. Like I feel like I'm underrated, and I feel like I always have something to prove. I have a chip on my shoulder, and like I think that's what keeps me going, for sure.
Well, So moving on to our, you mentioned just right now, Gears of War 4 comes around. You start out United. You're on the United roster, Strang. A lot of people did say you played well at the event. They don't think you were the problem with the roster, whatever it may be. One of the questions we got from Twitter, I'm going to kind of group it into this whole thing as well. What went wrong with the United? So basically, we got dropped, and then the other question is what was the real problem with United? Somebody asked on Twitter, what do you think about Demo as a leader and as part of that team? You can kind of answer all those, I guess, into one big thing if you want.
Yeah. So
or if you can, or if you want, do your thing. I'm not gonna put you under the fire here, but that's what we're getting from people online.
No, it's fine. I like the spiciness to it. So I'm gonna try to answer your question best I can. If you wanna add on to that or ask another question, that's fine. So when it comes to the whole Demo thing, all right, I think Demo as a player is a bit overrated skill-wise. I'm gonna say that in this game. Now, as a leader, it's never been his role. He always tries to be a leader, and I think it's more based off him being stubborn. I don't think it's actually him being a good leader. I think he puts himself in a position where he kind of needs to have that control. And the only way to have that control over a roster, or in this case, an org on United, is he has to be a captain, aka a leader. And then now he's developed, and he got onto a roster, and he's developed himself into this captain position where he's almost comfortable, and it's his roster, and him and Tommy are the veterans, And Tommy's kind of the sidekick. He's a support player. Now Demo's free to kind of reign, and he's going to be on that roster forever, pretty much, unless
you never know.
Down.
The United, you don't know who's going to be on that roster for next event, let alone forever, probably. But that's what it looks like. You're right.
So yeah, like he has United under the palm, like pretty much. I can't think of the exact term right now. In the palm of his hand, I guess. And that's not a bad thing. He's established a relationship with them, but honestly, when it comes to, what we're really talking about here in performance, his performance with the caliber of players that he's playing with has been so inconsistent due to his leadership, and that's obvious. You can see it; it's night and day. So, I mean, when it comes to my experience with Demo, the reason I got on that team in the beginning with Kyle, Icy, Tommy, and him was because of Icy and Tommy a lot. I played with Tommy on and off, like dubs, like we're friends, like in UE all the time. He wanted me on the team. Icy fought for me super hard. Kyle was kind of on the fence. He's like, I'll do whatever you guys want to do. And then eventually, Icy convinced Demo, Tommy convinced Demo, and I got on. So from the start, I don't think Demo really wanted to play with me. So I think that was something he could not get over.
That was part of the reason probably for the droppage after the event, you're saying, you think?
Yeah, it was kind of a forced pickup. But on his part, like Icy and Tommy really wanted me on the team. Kyle was on the fence, but he leaned over pretty quickly. Like he was like, yeah, like we could definitely make this work. I've always wanted to play with you. I just wasn't sure if it would work out. So I don't know. Like I feel like again at the Invitational, I was anchoring for the team, and I felt like I played one of the best anchors at the tournament. Like I really did a lot.
And you gotta remember also, I mean, you read Twitter. We all read Twitter. Pretty much Gears of War community lives on Twitter now. Went from forums back in the day with Gears 1 and 2. Now we're on Twitter. So like you had to see on Twitter, even before the event, everybody's saying, I don't know if Strang's going to make this team after the event. I don't know if it's going to work out. I think Strang's going to get dropped or whatever, whatever it may be. And, like, I hate seeing that and then having it actually happen. I'm like, oh, crap. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so
it almost feels like a little bit kind of like I think the community, like, a little bit kind of, like, got under his skin and kind of pushed the decision a little bit. I felt like I could have played any type of way, but like I'm gonna be honest with you, like when we lost to Revenge, which is ALG now, like I was anchoring and like we got 7-0'd on the second map, and I mean I don't know what I can do as an anchor to prevent that.
Yeah.
If you go, the rebroadcasts are still up there. I'm pretty sure. Like if you really go and look at the rebroadcast and see what happened in those matches, the team was playing flat, like and again it would be different if I was front spawn and we're getting 7-0'd, but I was anchoring and I was still like keeping the rounds lengthy. Like doing my best as an anchor. I was kind of doing like what everyone praises Kraz to do for. Like I was doing better. So at the it was a short kind of time anchoring and it was a short time with United. But I really I don't know. I feel like if it was anyone else but Demo, I'd still be on the team. We probably would have won by now. I'm just gonna be honest.
Oof, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean we have to see that. I mean you're seeing Optic and Envy now on the top, and they've been the most consistent rosters, and now it's kind of like a bunch of other teams are shuffling players in and out. So, I mean, the word on the street is here. You got to get these 5 people that work together and stick together and try to build something. So that's why I always hate seeing these roster changes. Me and Benson talked about it last week. Another thing we brought up last week, or last show, I should say, the content creation in Gears of War and trying to grow the community, trying to get the YouTube going, streaming, whatever it may be. I think we mentioned you for sure. You're one of like the more interactive streamers I've seen. Usually when I tune into you, you're kind of like talking to your chat, seeing what's going on, you get your cam all the time.
Oh yeah,
like
all the time.
I'm a big stickler. Like when I see pros streaming with no cam and they're talking to like their team and not talking to the chat, I'm like, I know you're scrimming sometimes, but come on guys, do something here. But what are your thoughts on the current state of the content, and if you agree with like kind of what me and Benson were saying last week, and what should be done going forward here?
Sure, yeah. So the first thing I'm gonna say, which really bothers me, and I think I'm allowed to say this because I haven't been as consistent lately, but in the past I've been very consistent, and going forward I will be. When it comes to like streaming and YouTubing, it's not easy, and I feel like the coalition and the community puts it on the players, like stop being lazy players, build up your YouTube from nothing players. And I mean, unless you are on a world-class organization, it can be pretty damn hard. There's only a few, especially in a game like Gears, there's only a few content creators out there, that are that are really successful. Like you see, there's J Motions, like his stream is doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of YouTube, you got like Shadows and you have Razored Edge and stuff, but they've been going at it for like years now and like been consistent every day. And competitive players do have to like scrim and stuff too, right? So it's definitely doable, and definitely the content needs to be put out. But I think it can't just be all on the players. I think there needs to be some assistance from the coalition. There needs to be more, not incentive, but more assistance. Like just when it. You know what I mean? Like
I'm just thinking like along the lines of content. Like the thing is, putting out YouTube and putting out streams and this stuff is not going to hurt the game. You know what I mean? It can only help the game. So I don't think anybody's asking for any of the pros or any of these big people in Gears to make this like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week kind of thing. But literally right now, if you go look, there's no content. Like we mentioned, I see him in chat. We have Domes here. Domes did this thing for a little bit, putting some videos up, but there's really been nobody consistently over time who has streamed or uploaded content. I mean, Explosive or Optic, he's a big one where when he streams, like either 2K or whatever, last week he had, I think, 1,500
it's like,
viewers.
insane. Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like he could stream him playing ranked if he wants to, and he'll get viewers. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But just like there's definitely not enough going on in my opinion, and I know a little bit extra support would help, but I do still think we need to do something in the content area as well.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because you can't force people to do anything, and unfortunately, with the way Gears is right now, and hopefully it changes very soon. Hopefully, there's a turnaround point. A lot of these players like they only care about money, and Twitch is an easier way to get a little bit of money like right away for these guys. YouTube is pretty much what mostly what you're talking about with content and stuff. It takes a while, but I mean, if there almost needs to be. It's on the player, but the player doesn't have to do it. So, like, if this is something we're really going to push for as a community, and just not just like content creators or streamers, but like a community wants this, like, it really needs to be put on some of these guys that we know are going to succeed. I'm not sure. I'd be really curious to see what Explosive has to say about this, because I'm sure people ask him all the time, like, where are your YouTube videos, man? Like, blah blah. Like, people already asked me, right? When the game first
came out, he was streaming when it first came out. I remember, and he was doing really well on numbers, like. The week it came out, I remember I had that early access tournament he streamed, and it had like a couple thousand viewers at least. Optic made like a YouTube video like talking about the event and how they played in it, and then he was streaming consistently for like a week or two, and then it kind of like fizzled out, you know what I mean? Yep. Which is like, well, to be honest, a lot of the Gear streamers and YouTubers, same thing. Like, we've always had periods of time where, like, back in the day we had Cream of the Crop. Remember when Cream was involved, and he did a little Cream of the Crop show, he did some tournaments too, and that fizzled out, and like, it just seems like we haven't had it, like, other than Shadows and those guys on YouTube, like even Pete over there, nothing from the competitive side of consistency. So we'll see going forward. We'll see if things change. Maybe yes, maybe no. But going forward on kind of something you touched on again, Season 2, you mentioned you hope for changes. Now, I'm going to ask you, what changes would you like to see for Season 2 of Gears of War as far as, like, the circuit goes, MLG, whatever it may be, if it maybe be at ESL, who knows. And then what would you like to see as far as the actual game itself? So changes to the circuit and changes to, like, the game itself, like, as far as, like, mechanics or game modes, maps, whatever it may be. Just touch on each one of those two topics if you could.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's a few things. I mean, if we wanted to treat, Season 1 as kind of a rough draft, and kind of look at some of the things that could be improved on, which I know, like, Jack and the Coalition's doing already. There's a few things that come to mind. I think it's for NA, and, I'm not exactly sure how it works with Europe and other regions, but when it comes to funding, you guys got to think about this. There's Optic, and then there's, like, United, Envy, and, like, Echo Fox, right? And I'm not sure if it's top 4 funding or top 2 funding, but anyway, it's either top 2 or top 4, and the Coalition, like, pays for them.
Yeah, I think it may be 2, but you might be. I'm not positive, but I would say it's 2. But
yeah. So basically, like, I mean, that's obviously huge for the org, right? Like, they don't have to pay. They're supported, right? Like, and it's basically a win-win situation for these big orgs, and there's no downside to entering Gears, because if they are like a top team, they get flown out. There's not a lot of expense added. They just pretty much get a team to rep them, right? So I mean, something that I talk about with some of my friends and even some of my past managers. I can see Ink in the chat. I talked to him about this before. I would like to see some of that prize money and some of the the supporter packs, some of that funding going into directly funding top 8, maybe even top 10 teams. Top 10 is probably too much, but to really incentivize some of these other big orgs that might not get those consistent first to fourth place placings. Get a team that's funded, and they can still enter the scene with, like, low risk.
Yeah.
So
don't you think that might be like don't you think that might also be more of, like, because right now we have all these teams, right? Say the top 8 teams in Gears, and we have this pro point system right now that is in place, and you see a lot of people getting together and getting on teams because of pro points and placings. They want to be in pools right away. Do you think that might encourage that more, though? Like, if you're a top 4 team and you're funded already, and, like, you're more hesitant to like play for another team. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean? Like right now there's a lot going into pro points and going into like these top players and these pros who have a bunch of pro points are all kind of changing rosters and teaming with each other again instead of seeing like kind of new teams form where people stick together.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like is that it would give, my team in my position right now is a perfect example. Like we're seated like eighth or ninth NA or whatever, and like we're seated eighth NA, and we're not going to Paris like because we're like not an established like top four team, right? Like unless you're a part of an org with a lot of money that just wants to send you just cause, and they don't think about like the actual like business out of it or like the cost of investment. Like we're simply just not going. There's a lot of great teams that are just not going because of events like even London was the same, right? Like
Right.
you just can't get there. So if you're gonna have an international circuit and that's gonna be kind of like what Pro Gears is, I just think the funding needs to be better. Like instead of throwing that extra like 25 to 50K in a prize pool, you can use some of that money to help get these other teams to these events consistently. And that helps. And again, you'll get other big orgs into the scene. You're talking about, again, wanting to make Gears bigger and making it more. I don't know, just to have it flourish. You bring these other big orgs in,
Yeah.
and you can do. And there's more incentive for these orgs to enter if they're not paying for, plane tickets every month
Yeah,
to another.
we're still we have Optic
you know
and
what I mean?
Envy and Echo Foxes here at United, but we're still missing some of those big orgs. You know what I mean? There's other big orgs out there that are in like the Call of Duty scene and other games that, for sure, if they came over to Gears, it would improve the viewership and whatnot. For sure, we see Ink has mentioned that in chat as well. So that's kind of your thought maybe on the esports event side of it. What about the actual game? What needs to happen to the actual game right now to make this be what the pro players want, what the competitive players want, to make you happy and make everybody else happy?
Huh?
Now, without going into the scroll of updates, like the main things. I mean, we have talked about previously. The ranking system needs to be an actual ranking system that promotes more players, promotes a bigger player base, and from there the competitive community can grow from that. We've talked about weapon balancing. Secondary weapons are very strong right now, and the shotgun seems to be kind of updated here and there, and it's never actually perfect to what we want. Like, what's your main features right now you want to see coming to Season 2?
For me, I don't have anything that's like super insane. It's just such a subjective question. Everybody's gonna have different opinions. Like you have like the really opinionated people like Kenny from Optic. Like if he could rewrite the game, like it would be completely different. I think the game is well balanced, but like in some ways, it's a great game when everything's just exactly equal. Now, my biggest problem with the game, and I'm not, just gonna sit here and offer a way to fix it exactly, but the issue with me is that you have competitive tuning, which tones the damage on everything down. Now, what it affects the most is the shotgun. So to nerf the shotgun, you obviously have to decrease the damage, and then you get close range inconsistencies because you're trying to make it on par with what the Lancer should be, with what the pistol should be, with what everything else should be. So the shotgun just gets hit so hard because it's a weapon like we pretty much use the most. And just for its damage to be nerfed at close range, I know the AC helped a little bit with it, but there's still a lot of times where you're like, I literally hit that guy and I know he should be dead and he's not dead, and you get like the 70 or the 83 or whatever. And I feel like that never happens on core. And so I wish there was a way that you could make the shotgun so that it was, like almost perfectly consistent, like at extremely close range where you just don't get that. Like I know 83 these days is when they're just out of that chunking range, and it doesn't make sense for the most part. But I'm telling you, man, I have clips on clips on clips that are indisputable. They should be chunks, and it's because of competitive tuning. And if I had a core shotgun, they would just be dead from that same range they should have been chunked from already. So, continuing to work with the shotgun, not being complacent with like how it is. So I would just continue to look at that. The Lancer, I feel, does need stopping power. It doesn't need.
Man.
It needs a little bit. Needs it.
No, my heart. The stopping power words.
No. So it does need stopping power, in my opinion. Just not a lot. Just not a lot, because right now you have a lot of these players that are like actually terrible and brainless, and people think that they're decent because they can run through an entire clip of Lancer, and you can connect 14 bullets on them or 15 bullets in some cases, and they still chunk you. Where if you had stopping power, it's not that the damage would kill them. It like necessarily it's that the stopping power might make them think twice about making a brain dead decision. So now, I'm not saying Gears 3 stopping power. I'm not saying Gears 3 damage on the Lancer, but there needs to be the point where you can post up with the Lancer and confidently kill someone who's head downing you from 15 feet away.
Well,
if you hit your shots,
yeah,
if you hit
maybe,
your bullets.
I mean, the speed at which somebody closes the gap too is pretty high right now, so that could maybe help a little bit too. Again, you're mentioning before, everybody has their own little opinion and whatnot. Like your stopping power, I'm like, no, don't bring stopping power into the gun.
I don't want insane stopping power, but a little bit of stopping power is insane. Like I mean, it just if you're gonna make the Lancer like as weak as it is right now, all Gears players out there, you'll notice this. If you're in a 1v1 and you have a Lancer out and they have a shotgun out,
they're at you.
It almost doesn't matter where they start straight lining you from. Even if you connect almost every bullet, there's a good every single time they get like within 5 feet of you and you're like they should be down, and then you just end up spraying because it's if you roll backwards and you whip out your shotgun, like they're still gonna roadie run into you and finish the chunk. You know, like so it's just you have to like breathe that like you'll play it so perfect, and you'll just have to you'll have that like
moment where, like,
sigh of relief if you get the down, and when you get chunked, you're like, there it is, 93 for 12.
I usually
13.
yell at the person who's running at me. I'm like, why is he running at me like this?
Yeah.
Like, I'll usually scream when he's down. I'm like, yeah, that's right, you're down now.
And that's the last thing I'm gonna say about it. It's like when it says like 96 for 14, that's not 14 bullets fired. That's 14 bullets connected, and this guy's still not down. So, yeah, if I had it my way, I don't have the right answer for this. The shotgun seems to be the most inconsistent, complicated weapon in video game history. I don't know why we can't figure this out, but continue to work with it and experiment on it. Don't ever think it's like perfect almost. Like just continue to work on it. That's what I would tell the Coalition to do. And I would really, really just look into just a little bit of stopping power.
Do you
like
think it's better
flawless.
right now what they did with the post with the patch? They brought it back to the AC shotgun. Do you think it's better now, or do you think it was better how we just had it like a week ago?
I think it's a little bit better now. Yeah. I mean, I got 99% in one shot with the Nasher on my stream before AC, and which was crazy. And then I got it again, and I feel like right after AC. So I don't know. Like the fact that I can get 99% in one shot. I have it recorded. You can't call me a liar. With the Nasher, is insane. I feel like yeah, right. But yeah, just getting that extra close range damage. I don't know why it was taken out, but having that added back in is huge. So, and when it comes to the pistol is like feels pretty weak. But I guess if you want to have a Lancer, then you need to have a weapon that's a little bit different than that. And I'm pretty sure Node Zero just wanted to have a pistol that wasn't just the Lancer substitute, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, why use the Lancer when you can just use the pistol? You know, pros have a higher rate of fire and damage, and you can melee with it instead of chainsaw. So, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it for the base weapons. I could go on and on about the other weapons,
yeah,
but I think they're
whole another stream we can do for that probably.
Yeah, that's something else entirely. For sure.
All right, well, thank you for that. I do have another question that I kind of ran over it, to be honest with you. It's kind of not in the same topic that we're talking about. But it's just another question or two before we get into our Paris thoughts coming up next. So the two questions I have left for you on here, we mentioned earlier you started E-United in Gears 4. You went from E-United, you were at Illicit, you have this roster now you're on. We know the E-United story. Overall, what would you say is the reason you haven't been able to stay on one team for more? I think you've been on a different team every event. Am I right so far?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Is there any reason, like a main reason besides the United, like why you have been on all these different teams?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like
shame on you. I was kidding.
It's been it's been such a roller coaster. It's kind of hard to say. Like there's no consistent answer. Like, you know, giving you the quick breakdown of these events, it was like E-United, I got dropped. I feel like I played great. I feel like that me getting dropped by demo was out of my control. Since it was the Invitational, Columbus was like a couple weeks after, right? So I had to form a roster. I ended up forming a roster. I joined Vex, and it was me, Phenomenon, Shock, Perpsy, and Abolix. Like pretty like random roster.
Yeah.
We almost got top 8. Like that was close. Like we lost this place 7-5 tiebreaker, and we ended up getting like 9th through 12th or whatever. After that, we decided to part ways with it was Perpsy and Abolix. We just felt like they weren't like up to par. They didn't like play well on LAN. So we picked up Drix and Franco. Great players, right?
Right.
great,
No argument there.
like it was great, like it was like a great upgrade. Like that's the move, right? Like it's like, okay, well, like if we're not exactly happy with the performance, we're gonna edit the roster a little bit, and that's the roster I wanted going forward. Like period. I was like, this is great. Like you have all the pieces here. But unfortunately, what happened after London, we got top 8. I ended up getting kind of like almost dropped from that team too, because I was getting really frustrated with the way we were playing against certain teams. So it just didn't work out. Now if it worked out, that was kind of like how it would have been and kept going forward. But I also have the feeling that like Drix and like Franco also wanted to like kind of use, it was Panda Global at the time in my team, to kind of go to the next step. Like it would almost feel like they were kind of like using the team in London to go to the next best thing.
Yeah.
So like I kind of had to deal with the chips I was given. But yeah, at that event, I just felt like we played United. And like Franco was having like the most fun. Like he was talking like crazy.
Franco's funny
like
to watch, man.
he
Some
was,
of his clips
yeah,
he makes are
yeah.
crazy.
He was. All I was gonna say about that was that.
I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go 2. Here we go. I'm gonna go with this drink right here.
Oh, you got a drink? I can't see you, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. What was I
Can't
saying?
see
Oh yeah.
me?
So
Sure you can't see me?
at the event at London, I can't see you,
I'm
but
just kidding.
at London, basically, he kind of was like any team that wasn't like a top 8 team, he would talk shit. He would go off. And then when we would play like a top team like United or whatever, like he would just be like quiet. And so like I got like tight, right? And same with like Drix, and I felt like the fire wasn't there. And that's like one thing that kind of triggers me is when like I feel like my teammates aren't giving it 100.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a big part of the game too. Momentum and hype, intensity, all that. You see when like sometimes a team calms down when they're like really hype and they get like kind of more quiet. Then you see like, oh, what's going on here? Now they're losing these rounds all of a sudden they weren't before. So I definitely agree with you on that. I guess I'll wrap it up on that topic. I'll close out on these questions here with the final stuff here. So, Gears of War is a question from Twitter also. We didn't have many Twitter questions this week. Unfortunately, we usually have like 5 to 6 questions. I just pulled a couple off here. I didn't even get the image like I usually do. But Gears of War memory, what would you say your best Gears of War memory is in your competitive career?
Wow.
I'm sorry, yeah, I know you got a long career and
that's a lot.
a lot of different things, but you can blame Twitter for this.
I think honestly, I would say probably any of my losers bracket runs. There's like no better feeling than being knocked down in a tournament and coming back and just eliminating with your back against the wall, like team after team after team. I think honestly, even though I didn't win the event, it would have been about a year and a half ago. Hype 4, like that was one of the funnest events I've ever been to. Other than that, I would say being a part of the Mexico crowd and enjoying that type of that size of a Gears event with like that many.
I want to get there next year if they have another one.
Yeah, that was insane. So like personally on like a completely kind of like me and my team level, it probably would have been like competing with Icy, Noxious, and Nasty, and just beating like all these like teams that were favored to beat us, and just beating them like again and again and again. And we had like at the time like a really big stage that we just weren't used to. Like the production was actually pretty good for a hype event or whatever.
Right, yeah, I remember the screen was cool in the background. I remember I think Murray was over there doing it, or
yeah, Murray did it. He did a great job.
It was legit, like the first legit main stage there's been since like the previous MLG events back in the day. So it was cool to see that. But so now Gears 4 going into Vegas right now. Your roster. How confident are you guys going into Vegas? You're grinding it out from now till Vegas that you're going to be in that top 8 and maybe even better. Are you very confident?
Oh yeah, I'm extremely confident. It's one of those. It's like we have all the pieces. We have everything we need. It's just about like putting the time in. Like we had very busy like Aprils, but we've set May to be the grind month. And yeah, it's me, Wildebeest, Noxious, Yogurt, and Phenomenon. Names you guys have all heard.
Fan,
players,
right?
we're all capable. Sure, I mean whatever you want to call it. But
is there a chance you'll go under Synergy? Is there a chance?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. I mean, we'll probably be looking to represent an org. And if not, we'll see what we're doing. Right now, we're not really focusing on that. We're focusing on getting better because there's really no point in going to an event unprepared, and that's why like as much as it sucks to not go to Paris, at the same time, I don't think we would have been where I know we could be. So.
Yeah. Well, as our main team's going to Paris, and we're going to talk right now about that real quick. We're not going to go too long on this. I know you got things to do. You got to get back to your grind. I don't want to keep you too long tonight.
Sure.
We're going to go over to the Paris predictions, Paris thoughts here real quick.
Oh, we're doing that. All
We're
right.
doing that. Yeah, I'm going to go over. So right now on screen, I'm going to go over to the images. We're going to show you the pools for Paris. So pool number A, Strangulate, is going to be Optic Gaming, Splice, BAM Esport, which I think is an EU team, and then an open bracket team coming in there. So in pool A, my thoughts on this would be Optic and Splice will for sure take this. Right now, EU does not have too many consistently good teams. They have Epsilon, Vitality, finishing somewhere in the top usually. But other than that, I don't think an open bracket team, most likely an EU team or BAM Esport, can compete. Do you agree with that thought?
Yeah, I feel like that pool is like so cut into tiers. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I feel like that pool is just going to be. So you said it was going to be Optic and then Splice and then it's going to be
An EU
honestly
team, yeah.
maybe and then BAM and then the open team. And I feel like the open team might fight with BAM. I'm not exactly sure who's on BAM.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I think it's actually some decent EU players, to be honest.
They're a
'cause
French
I think
team, I'm hearing. They're a French team.
they're
I
a
don't know
French
much about
team.
them. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that any pool with Optic in it is like so easy to predict because you just obviously you predict them to win their matches, and then you kind of just take like with Splice is kind of the international wild card, but yeah, I think that pool is probably super easy to predict. I don't think there's anything like super crazy there that I would expect.
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same
Big
lines.
upsets.
When I go into Pool B now, this, in my opinion, because we're getting rumors of the EU teams showing up to the event. There not being that many. We know, like, so far, I mean, the opinion of pretty much everybody, that NA teams are well ahead of the EU teams as far as, like, their skill level and how they're competing at events. Pool B is Envious, Epsilon, E6, and then an open bracket team. Now, if you watched the 2K last week, you saw E6 make it to the finals, actually. They went 6-5 with Optic on Foundation. Now, they had boom shot.
I watched it, yeah.
2 rounds in a row. They could have very easily beat Optic on Foundation, then went to map number 2. But a lot of people are picking them to finish very high this event. I'd say Envious and E6 right now in this pool look to have it on lockdown with Epsilon still giving them a shot, you know, because they might be improved with their new roster changes, and it's in their it's in their their hometown pretty much. So, what do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you think Epsilon's going to get top 2, or do you think E6 going to stay in there with Envy?
I think it's gonna be E6 and Envy, but like honestly, it's so hard to call the E6 roster on LAN because we haven't really seen it yet. It's such a dramatic change. But you know that like Soto and Excels are like consistently good on LAN, and same with like Eternity and them. So I would say, yeah, I think it is gonna be. There's not gonna be any crazy upset there, but like I wouldn't be surprised if Epsilon just turned up because of the whole Europe thing.
Yeah,
and,
that's definitely a factor.
Just
We don't
E6
know.
being a new roster, yeah, like it could be really interesting. I'm not sure, but like, I mean, besides that, like, I just still cannot believe E6 made it to the finals of the 2K as
They
well.
beat Envy in a best of 1 as well. 7-6 Foundation again, I think it was.
Oh, that's what it
So,
was. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, I
they
wasn't
beat him
sure
best
what
of
the scoreline was, but still, that's crazy. Like I don't. E6 I think was in one fight night as well, but I think it was like a weekend where a bunch of teams couldn't play for some reason. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, anyway, not taking anything away from them, but yeah, it's really impressive, and I think they'll give Envy a run for their money. Envy will beat them just because it's LAN and they're an established team, and then yeah, they're going to go to war with Epsilon as well. I'm not really sure. Do you know any of the top like open teams or no?
I'll get to
I
that.
don't know any of them.
Well, basically, there's only one, I think, to be honest with you, that I know about. We'll get to that coming up in Pool D, but right now we're going to go to Pool C. Pool C, to be honest, right now, here's the thing. Pretty much all over Twitter, everywhere you look, E United has been a big topic. You know, the whole demo thing, the whole E United not playing well against top teams. You know, they've been losing to Echo Fox now. They've lost to Ghost Gaming. You know, they're not being predicted to finish very high in this event like they should be, like a top 3 team, right? Or top 4 at least because of their roster, their slaying power, whatever it may be. Pool C, though, if you look at it, E United, Allegiance, Last Ride, who's another EU team or French team, I'm not sure, and then an open bracket team. So even with E United, even with them maybe not having the greatest chemistry right now, not beating the top teams, I feel like Pool C is a pretty easy victory for them. I mean, Allegiance is really about the only team to contest with them, and even still, that would put them in top 2 in Pool C at the worst. So they should be moving on to winner side, and then from there, they play the top teams. Do you think when they play the top teams, it's going to be what we've seen recently, with them going down to like Echo Fox, Ghost, and the rest of those crew? or do you think they can maybe clutch up by the time comes Paris this weekend?
I think you can pretty much gauge United's performance off the ALG match. Like whatever happens there is kind of going to be their tournament. I know like on paper, like United's supposed to be like much better than ALG, but ALG does have chemistry. Perps has actually been coaching for them and helping them a lot. Yeah, I feel like when you look at United, it kind of comes down to Tommy. I think he's been kind of having some inconsistencies. From what I've seen, he seemed to be playing okay, but a lot of people have been telling me he's been playing a little bit inconsistent. I feel like if he comes out and he's on fire, not just like gameplay wise, but like vocally, like he comes out with that energy, the rest of his team will be able to kind of like just focus in, play the game, and play around his callouts and his supporting. I mean, Tommy does have a good Nasher when he needs to, but I feel like if he just puts the batteries in everyone's backs,
he was yelling like. They were hyped up.
You can see it. He's bringing it from within right now. So I feel like if he really takes control of not just the leadership, but like the team morale, like that enthusiasm, like everything else, like his thumbs work. They'll do what they do. But when it comes to just being like an enthusiastic, positive force on the team, and everybody else like the Zerpting and Godplay, like they can literally just play, bounce around, just kill things. So I think that's how it has to be. If you have anybody on the team that's kind of slacking, I feel like they're just such a skill ego type team that they start like kind of looking down on their own teammates, and I feel like they self-destruct a little bit. So yeah, I feel like if he goes off and he supports well and he's just has a good event, United's gonna have a good event.
Now here's the big one for me and my thoughts and predictions. Pool D, which I'm calling D for death here, right? Echo Fox, sure. Ghost Gaming, Vitality, and an open bracket team. Now, the question mark for me here is the open bracket team, because most likely in either Pool C, which is right here again, or Pool D, you're going to get that Fire and Ice squad they're sending over to Vegas. Fire and Ice being Rezik, Fragout, Musics, Firearm, and Zenon, formerly the PJJ guys, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right now, they're in open bracket. I'm going to go ahead and say they don't have any competition in open bracket. Unless an EU team shows up that I don't know about, or an NA team flies out there unknown to us, I think Fire and Ice is going to run through open. I think they have the 1 or the 2 seed. So if they have the 1 seed, they should be, I believe, in Pool D with Echo Fox, Ghost Gaming, Vitality, and Fire and Ice. That's a pool only 2 of those teams can move on. And
yep.
and like a lot of those teams can beat each other. Like Fire and Ice has already beat Echo Fox in an IGL match they had. Ghost Gaming, out of all these teams, probably the favorite to win the pool, but you never know against Echo and Fire and Ice. Even Vitality, most people are saying like they might have even overtaken Epsilon now for the EU supremacy. So for me, Pool D is going to tell a lot who comes out of this pool on winner's side. And just your thoughts on Echo, Ghost Gaming, Vitality, and the Fire and Ice squad, which, smart by Fire and Ice. They're one of the only people to send that NA team over, knowing that if Fire and Ice finishes somewhere in the top here, they're going to have pool seating for Vegas as well. Because right now they're not in pool seating. So they're probably going to have pool seating come Vegas after this. But what are your thoughts on this pool?
It's a good move. Yep. So this is the pool that you could talk about forever. Like there's so many. Any pool that doesn't have Optic or Envy in it is usually the most interesting pool. It's the hardest to predict. So when it comes to Echo Fox and Ghost Gaming, they kind of have like some interesting little rivalries. I feel like the whole like Speedy thing is like still there, between both teams.
Oh,
and he uses it as fire every single time. And then Echo Fox is, I could be wrong. I feel like they don't grind as hard as the other teams, but they definitely are a bunch of guys that are super skilled and definitely like each other and stuff. And they didn't make a roster change, so I'm really excited to watch the Echo Ghost match, and we'll kind of see how it goes. When it comes to Fire and Ice, I think they're definitely capable to take one of these teams out, but I don't know. They don't really impress me that much, to be honest. Like I don't think Fire and Ice is that good, but I feel like fired. Yeah, I'm not really trying to take shots. We played them in not the last 2K, but the 2K before, and we beat them pretty easily. And I know it's like online or whatever, and they have been grinding pretty hard since then. But I don't feel like unless they, summon some type of deep power from within. I don't think they're really going to take out Ghost or Echo on land. I think those teams get just better on land. They have a lot of energy on those teams, and I don't know. I just don't think they're going to be able to hang. But I think they have a chance. I just don't think it's a great one.
All right, we're coming back to the cam screen now, so get your face ready. Coming back, and so I'll go into like the top 4, I guess. I'll touch on one thing real quick about Fire and Ice, which you just mentioned. Yeah, I mean, they've been playing very well recently, better than they played at the start. I do think, I mean, that team lost Heza, who's now part of E6, and I think he meshed really well with those group of guys. I saw him over in Cali. They were playing, I mean, the top 12 at Atlantic City, and like, to me, a player like Heza, like he's not like every other player. So losing him and trying to replace him, even though like Frag Out and Rez are good players, I don't know if it's chemistry-wise or team composition is going to be there come Paris or come Vegas. But we'll see. They have the capability to do it. So I
think the team did get better though.
Overall, yeah, I was upset.
I think the team got better. I don't think losing Heza hurt them.
I don't know about that. I'm gonna disagree. But
okay. Well, you can disagree, but I'm gonna say that I think overall they might not have as much chemistry. It might not have been a team for as long, but I think they're a better team. Not because Heza's not good. Heza's good, but like I think Sickest wasn't quite up to par as well. And I mean, Frago and Rezik both have great gun skills. So I mean, you lose Heza, but you get both of them.
Yeah, I was tilted because like I watched those guys, those 5 guys. They were Warpath before Warpath did their nonsense thing to them. But they went and they won the local land. Those 5 guys. They went to AC. They finished top 12 now. It was like they were getting like better those 5 guys together over time. And I just feel like I wanted to see at least one more event from those 5 if they improved above top 12. And like that'd be a cool story. Like local land win, top 12, top 8 now. Like. Almost like
for sure.
Inspirational. Like that's what we need in Gears of War right now. Like right now, it's a lot on pro points. It's a lot on playing with like players with names or previous pros. I just wanted to see one more team of 5 stick together. I mean, can't blame Heza because he got an offer at E6. You're not going to turn that down, of course, to be part of that org. But that's my thoughts on that. Going into the predictions now, I'll give my like top 4 general idea. You can give yours if you want. Envy, Optic, Ghost, and E6, I think, are my top 4. As far as who's going to win and where they place, it's a real shakeup for me because I don't know because I feel like Ghost is doing something that nobody else is doing right now. They're like team building with their team. They're sending them to like Coachella together. They're getting them in boot camps now. Like a lot of times, like all these guys are skilled, but Ghost is doing stuff where like they're going the extra mile to try and make those guys have the best chance to win come Paris, come AC. So I think Ghost has a real chance to maybe finish top 2 here instead of top 3. I will give it to Optic though to win again. Top 4, Optic on top, and the other 3 kind of shuffle between Envy, Ghost, and E6. Do you have any thoughts on like the top teams for you?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Maybe I would do a top 6. I would say, I think it's going to be very similar to AC just because the event pretty much just happened. I would say it's going to go Optic, Envy, and then I think it's going to go Ghost again, and then I think it's going to be Echo Fox, United, then ALG, like kind of tied. I think that's pretty much it.
You're putting E6 out of the top 6.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I think
previously I picked them like higher in the placings, and they've always got finished lower than what I thought. So now I feel like maybe this is the time they finish in top 4. Maybe this is my chance here to make a good prediction on E6 for one time in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to lose their top 6 match, and I feel like it's going to be very close. But, I mean, it's a new roster. I mean, just because you get what you think. Like, see, the thing is like, I'm not even trying to be biased. Like, 2 of my teammates were on the last E6 roster, in Phenomenon and Wildy, and I feel like they're extremely underrated. And they brought quite a bit to that team, and they still didn't place, like, great. So although, they just had, like, a good 2K and people, say that Heza's like super good and whatnot.
You can't really weight that too much,
Yeah.
The 2K, like, we get, like, I mean, we see teams finish well in the 2K, go to LAN, don't do as well. I mean, a win over a team in the 2K is not something to, like, set in stone. Like, oh, they beat them in the 2K, they're going to do well on LAN. Like, it's been proven that it's not the way it always goes. And, like, those teams don't really care about 2Ks a lot either.
We played, I played 5 2Ks with Illicit. And we beat E6 in 4 out of 5 of them. And we went to the LAN, and they beat us. So it doesn't mean anything, really. Like, 2Ks, 2Ks, are definitely really good practice. But this is completely separate topic. We're not even going to go into this, Deluxe. But I think Gears of War 4 is like the most online Gears of War game that's ever come out. I feel like there are so many inconsistencies in the game compared to online and LAN. The game is literally so crazy and what happens online. I mean, even not last 2K, but the 2K before, like Starbrights beat Echo Fox. Like that shit's like ridiculous.
Yeah, Frank
like
had
that
something to say
will
this
never
week.
happen in any other
Did you see
game. Like
Frank's
there's
video?
so many upsets every 2K. I saw him
Posted a
kind
video.
of like popping off
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
like last weekend when they were playing them or whatever.
He was like,
But
"Ah, 2K
there's just
win."
like upsets in the 2K that just wouldn't happen on any other game, and it's just sometimes I don't know what it is, but you load the game up and shit just doesn't work. And I mean I play on like 80 ping or whatever, so it's different, but. Yeah, sorry, I just got to get that out of there.
No,
Gears
it's
of War 4,
fine,
most
yeah.
online Gears ever. But yeah, so anyway, the 2K you just can't really quite tell. But yeah, I would say like you're gonna get ALG. They're gonna bump up the tier. I think you'll see them in top 6.
Really?
A lot of these matches outside of Optic and Envy, I think are gonna be like so close. But I just think when it comes to like who's gonna edge it out, I think you're gonna see like nearly identical placings from AC just because it's so close.
Yeah, and they're kind of getting ready for Vegas coming up here. All right, we're going to go to what we call a rapid fire string, and then we'll close it
shit.
out, and we'll get it. Rapid fire is basically 10 questions. It's some are funny, some are serious, put you on the spot kind of thing. I'm just going to fire the question off. You answer it, we'll move on to the next one, and that'll be it. So
This is where the truth comes out.
Are
huh?
you
All right.
ready?
Sure. Let's get it. Let's do
All
it.
right, music coming in. Where's it at? Hold on. Deluxe is choking on stream live again. Unbelievable.
Not again.
Unbelievable. Okay, I'll have it right now. Here we go. Are you ready for rapid fire?
I'm ready.
Okay. Peanut butter or Nutella?
Peanut butter.
Have you ever worn a Canadian tuxedo?
I don't know what that is, so I don't think so. No.
A Canadian tuxedo is jeans, jean jacket, jean shirt, all jeans out.
No.
Okay.
Never.
Better Let's Go Baby, you or Icy?
Me since the beginning of time.
All right, did you create that?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Kind of touched before on this, but most underrated player in Gears.
Me.
Okay. Most overrated player in Gears.
Demo.
Whoa!
That's easy. I thought this was supposed to be hard. Continue.
Next pro to get dropped.
Jeez, huh?
Yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
Next pro to get dropped.
Who's getting dropped? Who's the next big drop?
Um,
Rapid fire.
I don't know. I don't know who's gonna get
Next
dropped.
question. We'll come back to that one.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. I'll think about it.
Will you ever team with Nasty again?
Probably not.
How many times do you say "a" in a week?
Maybe once or twice a week.
Okay. Canadian bacon or American bacon?
American bacon.
What place will your team finish at MLG Vegas?
Guaranteed top 6, but probably higher.
Okay. Back to the question. Oh. Next pro to get dropped.
Clouts.
Clouts, it's here! Rapid fire's over. There it is. Thank you, Strangulate, for getting through those questions. Clouts, man. I like Clouts. Come on.
I like Clouts too, but I just feel like he's like, yeah. I see. I kind of see like people from Echo Fox like low key flaming him a lot, and I feel like he doesn't perform as much. So like, when you see a team like Echo Fox and you see a roster that wants to win a championship, I just feel like everyone else on that team's consistently doing well, and like if they were to drop somebody, it would be that hard like decision that would weigh heavy on their hearts. And Kyle and Clouts have a great friendship, but I feel like that's the only thing keeping him on the team right now. No disrespect to Rodney, I think he's a great guy, and he's been around for a little bit now. But unless he has like like a killer LAN performance in the next like at least Vegas, like I feel like he'll be the next one to like pro to get dropped. But yeah, we'll see come in Paris. We'll see.
All right.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, we'll see. Well, we'll find out. My prediction is probably wrong too. But last portion of the show, this is where we close it out. It's called shout-outs and call-outs. You can shout out whoever you want. Say what's up to the Strang Gang, people who helped you, maybe some people at home watching, whatever it may be. If you want to call anybody out, of course, there's the time now you can do that as well. Not going to force you to do it, but like feel free. I'm going to toss it over to you, and then we'll close out and get out of here and get to your scrimming.
Sure, yeah, sounds good. So I guess like shout out to my new team. You got Wildy, you got Noxus, Yogurt, all those guys. I love you guys. And I don't really know. The shout outs just to the Strand Gang community. I know, so I see some people in the chat really don't agree with me. Totally fine, all good. But yeah, just shout out to the Gears community and to my team and just everybody that loves Gears, man. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to talk about. So yeah, not big on the shout outs, but there you have it. It's good.
All right. Well, Gears of War, baby. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight for the bread. Thank you, Strangly, for coming on. You hit me up pretty quickly about coming on the show, so I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you all the viewers. Thank you, everybody. This will be on YouTube after we get off here tonight later on. So thank you once again. Tune in next time. I'll put it on Twitter when the next For the Bread will be. We'll see you guys this weekend for Paris MLG. I'll be in Vegas. Strang will be in Vegas. If you want to come out and see either one of us, make sure you get out there to MLG Vegas and do big things, baby. Play some more Gears of War, have some more fun, and we're out of here.
Thank you.